Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Darian and today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book tag. So, hi! How's it going? You haven't seen a video from me in a while. This summer has been kind of crazy. Some of you may know that I started a summer job working at a library. It's my first time ever. Well, it's my first time working at a library. It's my first time working full-time. It's just a summer contract. I'm a student librarian because I'm not done my master's yet, but the position was specifically for students working on their master's to become a librarian. So it seemed like a perfect job for me to get some great experience, and the job has been great, and I'm very, very lucky and thankful to have gotten this job. However, it has been very stressful, very busy, and just a lot mentally for me to deal with. And I don't want to sound ungrateful, but I have been struggling a bit trying to balance this job and also like having some sort of life outside of this job. So this summer has just been a lot for me, and I have had absolutely no time to work on videos because when I come home from work I am absolutely exhausted. I have tried to film and edit a couple of videos and they just have not gone to plan. So here I am, my first video in a month or two. I don't know how long it's been, but I am sorry if you missed me at all. I don't know if anyone even noticed that I was gone, but I'm here now today. I can't promise that videos are gonna start being more regular because one part of my life that is done now and gives me a bit more free time is I was in a show. I was performing in a musical and we just had our performances a few weeks ago. So that's done and I have a bit more free time now. So I'm hoping to get a few videos out for the rest of summer, and then once school starts I think I can go back to more of a regular-ish filming schedule. I don't know, we'll see. But thank you guys for being patient, and anyone who has decided to click on this video to see me again. I don't know, I really appreciate you guys. So I realized that you guys don't really know what I've been reading this year unless you follow me on Instagram or Goodreads. I mean, I do post pretty frequently on my stories on Instagram when I finish a book, and obviously Goodreads, I keep it fairly up to date. So if you don't follow me on either of those, you probably have no idea what I've been reading this year because I haven't been filming videos, let alone any wrap-ups. So I thought this would be a fun video to do to get you guys in the know about what I've been reading. Also, I love doing the mid-year book tag every year. It's one of my favorite videos to watch. I know I'm a bit late, but this is the only time I could do it. So here we are, mid-year book tag. I'm so out of breath because I brought so many books upstairs, but it's fine. So let's just get started with the questions. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what this tag is, so I don't think I need to explain it. So the very first question of the tag is the best book you've read so far this year. No. I refuse to pick one. I was between two, but there's a book that I'm currently reading. Sorry if you hear Laszlo. There's a book that I'm currently reading and I'm not done it yet, so I can't officially say that it's one of the best books I've read this year, but so far it's going very well. So I'm gonna mention it just in case it ends up being a best book, but I'll talk about the two that are fighting for the #1 spot. So the first book is one of the very first books I read this year, and that is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I know a lot of people had this in their favorite books of last year, so I was a little late getting to it, but I definitely see all the hype. This book was so good. And now that I'm holding it, I'm like, maybe this is my favorite? I don't know, because it's been a few months and I don't have the best memory, but this book was just so good. It was so good. You're basically following these two friends, Sadie and what's his name? Sam, and they strike up this friendship. They bond over their love of video games and they decide to make video games together, and you basically follow them throughout their career. They become very successful and then a lot of things happen during their career, and it's just very well told. I was sucked into this story. It is very hard to put down, and there's a part in this book that really got me. I read it when I was on the train and I remember vividly just trying not to cry, but I really, really loved this book. So, well, obviously I loved it, but yeah, so this is currently fighting for the #1 spot of my favorite book of the year. The other book that it is fighting against is If It Makes You Happy by Claire Kahn. And this is hard because it's a very different book. It is a YA contemporary. This book follows this girl named Winnie. It is basically just following her life during this one summer. She is in a, I would describe it as a queer platonic relationship with this girl, Kara, I think that's her name. Winnie has been very open about having feelings for more than one person at a time, and there is this guy, I forget his name, but they kind of strike up something, but that kind of complicates things between her relationship with Kara. And there's also this other, like, whole other plot of this, like, competition thing where in this town, I can't remember what they call it, but there's like someone is crowned as royalty for the summer, and then people fight to like be their like counterpart for the royalty. So the guy and Kara are fighting each other to be Winnie's counterpart. This doesn't make any sense. I would highly suggest you just look up what this book is about, because it's been a while since I read it. But this book also discusses Winnie because she is a queer, fat, black young woman, and the way that her character is discussed is so well done, especially the conversations about her being fat. It really got me. It is one of the best books I've read in terms of fat rep for me personally, and so this book meant a lot to me, and I really loved seeing this very unique perspective that I have not read from before. I've read about queer platonic relationships, but only in nonfiction, so it was definitely very interesting to read it in a fictional story, and especially this is young adult, like I'm just imagining teenagers picking up this book and seeing themselves in this character that they've never seen in another character before. So this book just means a lot to me, and I really want more people to read it because it is very underrated. And yeah, I loved it a lot. So it is fighting with Tomorrow and Tomorrow right now, but I love that book so much. And then the book that I'm currently reading that could top both these books, we'll see what happens, but that book is none other than Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I've been listening to this audiobook, and when I tell you, like within the first like half hour of the audiobook, I was engrossed in this story. This book is so emotional, and I am so like interested in these characters. You're following these two characters, Elliot and Macy. Oh, I'm so smart. And they meet when they're both pretty young. I think they're like 14, 15 when they meet, or maybe 13. Macy and her dad buy this like cottage that ends up being next door to Elliot's house, and Macy lost her mother at a young age, and so she's dealing with the grief of that, and her and Elliot strike up this friendship that kind of turns into something else, but we're going back and forth in timeline. So we have the chapters where they meet up in the summer and their friendship is growing into something else, and then in the present day we find out that they haven't seen each other or spoken to each other in 11 years because of something that happened when they were younger, and then they run into each other again and it complicates both their lives. And so I haven't found out what that thing is yet that drove them apart, and I hear that that thing makes or breaks the book for some people, so it could be possible that I read this and I'm like, oh, never mind, I actually hate this book. But honestly, at this point, I can't see what could happen that would make me think that. Even if I have a feeling it's Elliot who does something, I'm imagining all these different scenarios and I'm like, what could he possibly do that would make me not love them anymore? Like, obviously, these are two very flawed people, and they just feel so real to me. So like any mistake that either of them make, I feel like I can like forgive them for it. I don't know, but I'm not done it yet, so I don't know. But this is climbing the list. Like, I really, really am loving this. So I will hopefully finish this within the next week, and then we'll see. We'll see if it's the best book of the year. I don't know. So the next question is the best sequel you've read so far this year, and I haven't read many sequels. I've been really bad about keeping up with series this year. That is definitely something I want to work on for the next half of 2023. So by default, the best sequel I read was Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. This is the third book in the Dark Artifices series, and I think I gave this book 3.5 stars. So like, it's not amazing or anything, but she's chunky, and I thought it was a fairly satisfying end to this trilogy. I love Kit and Ty as characters. They were definitely the highlight of this series for me. There were definitely some emotional parts of this book, like the very beginning, because it starts off right where Lord of Shadows ends, and if you know, you know. It is devastating. So yeah, but I don't know. I haven't read many sequels, so I kind of have to say this, but it was fine. I don't know. I need to read I need to read more sequels, obviously. So the next question is a new release that I haven't read yet and that I want to read, and I have so many. Listen, this is the year I'm trying to read 100 books in the year. I think I'm only at like 48 right now. So I don't know if I'm gonna get there. I'm trying my best. But there's so many books that I wanted to get to and I just haven't. My reading mood has kind of been all over the place lately. So hopefully I can get to some of these in the rest of 2023, but we'll see. The first one is a crime that I haven't read yet because the first book is one of my favorite books of all time, and that is Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This book came out on my birthday. Like, everything was set up for me to get this book and read it immediately, and I just did not do it. And now I'm just getting intimidated by the size. I mean, Priory of the Orange Tree, you can see right here, is a chunker. This one I believe is just as big. Well, yeah, it's about 800 pages, so it is quite big. I think this is a prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree, and I honestly haven't heard that many reviews about this, so I don't even know if people generally like it or not. But this cover is beautiful and I need to get to it. So hopefully before the end of 2023 I can get my act together and pick this up. Another one that I would love to get to is I Have Some Questions for You by Rebecca Mackay. This one, I know it involves like a film student, a film professor, and podcaster. Right. Yes. And then there's some sort of mystery. Yeah, there's some sort of mystery. She's going back to like a mystery that happened in the 90s that she was involved with, something like that. But I love any books that have to do with film because I minored in film studies. I am one of those pretentious film students. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I love reading about film and I love this cover, and it's just like, this is one of those books that I just see and I'm like, ooh, I think I will love this, you know? Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm just getting over a cold. That's why I sound like this right now. So apologies. But yeah, I don't know. I really want to get to this. I also have Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. I have only heard amazing things about this. The only thing is that I know this is part of the Cosmere, but I don't know if there's anything that I should read. Like, this is, I think, technically a standalone, but I don't know if there's anything I should read before getting to this. So if anyone knows, so far in the Cosmere I've only read The Way of Kings. I think that's it. I haven't read Mistborn yet, only Way of Kings. So can I read this? Will I be confused about anything? Someone let me know. But I've just heard amazing things about it and I think I'll love it. Another one, I have a lot to talk about, so forgive me, but another one is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Again, I've only heard amazing things about this. I bought this because I saw Jan loved it so much. I think she said it's her favorite book of the year. And then after I bought it, Lisa read it and also loved it. So I'm like, I trust these two very much. It sounds like it has a great romance in it. I love this cover. Like this color. I love it. So I really just, I want to get to this. Like, I want to get to all of these. Another one is Inkblood Sister Scribe. I don't remember the author, but I'll put the picture here. I don't even know what this is about, but again, something about it just calls to me, and I think, I can't remember if it was a Fairleigh book or maybe it was just the Waterstones edition, but I saw a really pretty edition of this book and it just made me want to get it. So yeah, I want to read that one. There's also The Wishing Game, and this is a very new release, I think, and again, I've only heard really good things about this book. I don't remember what it's about, but there's books on the cover, so what else do I need, you know? Then there is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. I haven't read The City of Brass yet, so I don't know if I would like this author's writing, but from what I've heard about this book, I just think I would really like it. It is seafaring. You're following an older protagonist as she goes on like one last hurrah sea trip or something like that. And there's a big octopus kraken thingy on the cover. It just sounds really fun. So, I don't know. I've heard good things. I want to read it. There's also Only This Beautiful Moment by Abdi Nazemian. I think this book came out in May, and I have heard nobody talk about this, but this is Abdi Nazemian's third book, I believe, and I read Like a Love Story a few years ago and really liked it. Then I read The Chandler Legacies last year, and it was one of my favorite books of the year. I adored it. That book is so underhyped. Everyone needs to read it, so I am very excited to read his next book. I think this is like a generational story. You're following three men, the son, the father, and the grandfather, and you're following them in different timelines of their lives and how their lives connect. Obviously they're family, so it connects in that way, but how the actions of the grandfather affects the father and the son and their own like teenagehood, you know? So I'm just very interested. I love his writing, and I think I'm gonna love this one also. We're almost there for the new releases, I promise. But next, this one is really a crime that I haven't read it, but I will be reading it in August for a reason. So that book is A Court of Undying Seasons by A.M. Strickland. Y'all know that A.M. Strickland is one of my favorite authors. I've read Beyond the Black Door and In the Ravenous Dark by them, and they're both 5 stars. They're both two of my favorite books of all time. I mean, in 2021, I think it was, they had the number 1 and 2 spot for my favorite books of the year. So I love their writing so much, and this came out in May and I have not read it yet. I can't believe it. All I know is that there's vampires and it's queer, as all of their books are. They always have at least one character who is ace, which I really appreciate, and I will be reading this in August for a reason that I don't think has been announced yet, so I won't say it, but I'll read it soon and you'll see my thoughts. But I'm very excited to get to this one. And then finally we have Warrior Girl Unearthed by Angeline Boulley, and she wrote Firekeeper's Daughter, and this is, I don't know if I completely understand. I think this is a companion to Firekeepers. I think it might be a prequel? I'm not entirely sure, but I know it relates in some way to the story of Firekeeper's Daughter. And again, it's kind of crazy that I haven't picked this up yet. Like, so many of my favorite authors have released books this year, and I haven't read them yet, so what am I doing? I don't know, but I would love to get to this. Also, this cover is just so beautiful, so just another one I want to get to. So the next question is anticipated releases for the rest of 2023, and the first one is actually one that I have an ARC of. If you guys remember, I used to work at this independent bookstore and I would get ARCs by working there, and obviously I'm not working there this summer because I have the other job, but I am going back in the fall once this summer job is over, so I'm technically still employed there. So I do every once in a while go and visit them and then check out the pile of ARCs that they have, because I'm still allowed to take them. So one ARC that was just sitting all pretty on the top of the pile was The Long Game by Elena Armas, and I had the exact same situation happen last year with the American Roommate Experiment. I walked to work one day and it was sitting on the top and I couldn't believe my eyes. So I'm very excited to read this. I'm hoping I can read it also in August because it comes out at the beginning of September, but this is Elena Armas's newest book. It is her first book not in the Spanish Love Deception universe. It is a new romance, and I know that soccer is involved, and like I mean, I've always been like kind of a fan of soccer, but my boyfriend is like very into football, as he calls it, and that kind of got me to care about it. We also watched Ted Lasso, so now I'm like, oh my god, football is life, you know? Danny Rojas. Anyway, so I'm very excited to get to this one. I mean, American Roommate Experiment did disappoint me a little bit. I didn't like it as much as Spanish Love Deception, but her writing is just silly, goofy times, and I really just, I don't know, I'm excited to read it. Another one is Heartstopper Volume 5 is supposed to come out in December. I kind of am a little hesitant because Alice Oseman has pushed the release date a few times, and I want to give her all the time she needs to finish these books, so I'm hesitant to get too excited about this release because I won't be surprised if the date gets pushed again, because I just want Alice Oseman to take care of herself. Like, I love her so much, and so if she needs more time to write this book, then, you know, I will understand. But if it does come out in December, like it's planned to right now, then I will be eating it up, but also crying because it is going to be the last Heartstopper book, and I am not ready for this to end. We do have Heartstopper Season 2 coming out in a few weeks! A few weeks! So I need to rewatch it again, oh my god. But yeah, obviously I'm very excited to see my baby boys again. I love Heartstopper so much. I love Alice Oseman. It's gonna be great and also devastating, probably. Next we have Iron Flame, which is the sequel to Fourth Wing. Now I'll talk about Fourth Wing in another question, but I read that very recently. I'm a little nervous about the sequel because Fourth Wing came out like in what, May? April, May? Something like that? And there's already a sequel like 5 months later. A little suspicious. So I'm a little worried that unless the author wrote them like truly back to back, but I'm a little worried that she rushed to get the second book out after the first one was so popular. I don't know the story. I don't know if it was already written before Fourth Wing came out. Like, I really don't know, so I could just be guessing, but I'm a little nervous about it. But also the way that Fourth Wing ended, I really want to continue this series. So Iron Flame I think comes out in November, and I will be buying it. I already pre-ordered it. So okay, I have 2 more. The next one is Family Lore by Elizabeth Azevedo. This is, I think, her first adult book, and all I know about it is that I'm pretty sure it's another book in verse, and you're following this family, and I think the matriarch is sick, but I think there's also some magical element to it. I don't remember, I just know it's gonna be great, obviously, because it's Elizabeth Azevedo and her writing is like no other, so I'm very excited about that one. Finally, I mean, I feel like I have to mention this. It's not like I'm sitting here like dying for this book to come out, but I will, like, again, I've pre-ordered this one, I will read it, and that is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. It's her very first non-Shadowhunters novel. I think it's an adult book also, so I'm very intrigued to see what her writing style is like outside of Shadowhunters. I don't know, it's gonna be interesting. The cover is beautiful, so I will be picking it up at some point. The next question is my biggest disappointment of the year, and there hasn't really been any books that like disappointed me in the sense that I was really looking forward to it and then I read it and I didn't like it as much. That hasn't really happened to me. The book that I chose is more that I'm disappointed that so many people like this book and I read it and absolutely hated it, and that is The Maid by Anita Prose. I read this for the video I did at the beginning of the year where I read the winners and losers of the Goodreads Choice Awards, and this won the mystery thriller category last year, and I don't see it at all. This book honestly rubbed me so much in the wrong way. It's about this girl who's a maid, and there's a death at the hotel that she works at, and she kind of gets swept up in the investigation. And also a huge part of the book is that it's never explicitly stated, but it is very clear to me that the main character is autistic or at least neurodivergent in some way. And the way that her character is written, honestly, like, it really, I find it offensive to autistic people, and it kind of infantilized her, and the way that characters treated her in this book, like, and it's not written in a way to be like, oh my god, look at these characters, they're so mean, right? Look at how they're treating her. It's kind of like you're kind of in on it, and I really hate the way that it was written. I hate the way that this character was portrayed, and I really hated it. I really did not like it. It made me so angry. So it's disappointing to me that, now it's not like I'm not reading this to scold you guys if you've read it and like this book. I'm not here to be like, I'm disappointed in you. But I'm disappointed that this book just got so popular, and to me, I just really think there's a lot wrong with it. But that's my own opinion. Also, if you like resonated with this book and you felt like it was good autistic representation, like, who am I to tell you that you're wrong? I'm just talking about my own personal feelings, obviously, so it just really disappointed me. And then I have the biggest surprise of the year, and this book, I don't know, there was something about this book that I had a feeling I would end up really liking, so I guess it wasn't really like this huge surprise, but I chose this more because the cover makes this look like a very different book, and that is Just Last Night by Vari McFarlane. This book, like, you look at the cover and you're like, oh, this will just be like one of those cute little romances, and it is a romance, but there's so much more. You're following you're following this group of friends, these 4 friends who met in college, I think, and they've been friends for at least like 10 years or something like that. And then one of them tragically passes away in a car accident, and it's about the 3 remaining friends living and trying to process this grief and this loss, and it is very devastating and very sad. And as someone who has dealt with a lot of grief over the past couple of years, it really hit me. And so I want people to know that this book like heavily discusses grief and feelings of loss, and I don't want people to look at this and be like, oh, this is like one of those cute little romances, because there is a romance, there is a romantic element to this book, but I feel like the main point of this book is just following these characters who have a lot of complicated feelings about this character's death, because the main character finds out something after her friend dies, and she's feeling so many things because she's still feeling grief, but she's also kind of mad at her friend, but obviously they can't talk about it, so there's a lot of unresolved feelings, and I don't know, it just really hit me. I loved this book. It is another one of my favorite books of the year, but yeah, I highly recommend this book, but like, definitely know that it is not just a cutesy little romance. It is very heavy, very similar to The Heart Principle in my opinion. Like, that book also looks like it's gonna be fun, silly, goofy, and it's not, so it surprised me in the way that it got as dark as it did based on the cover, but I really love this book, and I'm happy that it's one of my favorite books of the year. The next question is my new favorite author, and there isn't an author that I like discovered this year that I read multiple books from, that I loved all their books or anything like that. I feel like I've had that for every year that I've done this tag, but this year I don't really have that. So my answer is Claire Kahn. Even though I read The Romantic Agenda last year, like, she's not a new author to me this year, but now that I've read 2 of her books and gave them both 5 stars, I can now consider her one of my favorite authors. So she's a new favorite author in the sense that she has risen up to the challenge, and I have given 2 of her books 5 stars, and so I now consider her a new favorite author. Does that make sense? But love her books. They're just very queer and amazing, and I feel like she's underrated. So pick up a Claire Kahn book today. I'm not sponsored. Why am I talking like this? I don't know. The next question is new fictional crush, and as I always do, I have lots of crushes on fictional characters. So the first one is the love interest in Just Last Night, which also was another thing that surprised me about this book, was the love interest was not who I thought it was gonna be. Like, the way this book is set up, if it was like your traditional romance, then the love interest would be very obvious and the plot of this book would be very obvious, but the love interest was not who I thought it was gonna be, which also surprised me, but I really loved him, so so I don't remember his name, but I also don't want to spoil who the love interest is, but loved that guy. I also loved the love interest in The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which I kind of can't believe I read this year. What is his name? Jamie? Is that the guy? Yes, Jamie. Speaking of Jamie, I met any moment I could talk about this, I will. I met Jamie Campbell Bower yesterday. And it was one of the greatest moments of my life. He was so nice. He was so nice. I have no words. So Jamie, wow, that's his name, but he's a grumpy librarian. Like, what more could I want? Then we have Xaden from Fourth Wing, another grumpy boy. I love the grumpy boys. I mean, he's a bit grumpier than others because he also might kill you. But I loved his character. I thought he was very interesting to follow, and you know, he made me feel something, so I really liked him. And then finally, as of right now, I would say Elliot from Love and Other Words is another fictional crush. The book is now under a lot of other books, so I'm not going to pick it up again, but yeah, right now I would call him a fictional crush. I don't know what he's going to do to ruin everything. We'll see, but as of right now, love him. Next we have new favorite character, and I have to go with Winnie from If It Makes You Happy. I loved her so much. I love the way that she stood up for herself, and you know, she never gave in to what other people expected of her. She just did what she knew would make her happy, and I really respected her, and I loved reading about her and just getting to know her, and I feel like she inspired me a lot, so I would definitely say Winnie. I also felt like, I think she's 18 in the book. She is so wise but still felt like a teenager. Like, I feel like in a lot of YA books, the main character is a teenager and you're like, hey, yeah, you seem very mature, but you don't seem like a teenager at all. Like, she definitely felt like her age, but just like very mature for her age, but still like a teenager. Am I making sense? I haven't done this in a while, so if I'm not making sense, I'm sorry, but just loved Winnie so much, and I just want to reread that book. I really, really liked it. For a book that made me cry, ironically, it's Happy Place by Emily Henry. Happy's in the title. This book did not make me happy. This book made me cry. This is a second chance romance between Harriet and Wynne, and they broke up a few months ago, but they haven't told their friends yet, and they go on this trip that they go on every summer with their group of friends, and so they're pretending that they're still together, and I mean, Emily Henry is so good at writing a mix of romance and just very heavy themes, and like, her books just always feel so real. The characters are always going through very real things, and every one of her books, one of the main character is dealing with the grief of losing one of their parents, so that's always sad to deal with. But the way she wrote this book, just, it made me sad, it made me cry. I also cried happy tears, but there was lots of tears nonetheless. And then books that made me happy, obviously if it makes you happy, made me happy. But another book that made me very happy was Fourth Ring by Rebecca Yarros. Y'all, the hype is so real for this book. I had so much fun. Why am I so dark? I had so much fun reading this book. It was just a silly, goofy time. There's dragons, there's competition, there's angst, there's romance. What more could you possibly want in a book? I don't know. I gave this 4.5 stars. This is not a review, but this book just made me so happy in the sense that it was the most fun book I've read in so long. I just had a great time reading this, kicking my feet, squealing. It was so good. I loved it. The sun is going down and I'm trying to go fast. Oh yes. The next question is the most beautiful book that I got this year, and I'm quite sure I got these in 2023, but that is the Fairy Loot editions of Legendborn and Bloodmarked. Legendborn is the first book. Look at these sprayed edges. Look at the naked cover. Stunning. And then Bloodmarked cover, sprayed edges, naked cover. I mean, they're just stunning. They're the most beautiful books I think I've ever seen in my life, and I'm very happy that I decided to get these. Oh my god, everything's falling now. These are also, I mean, Legendborn is one of my favorite series. I loved the first one, and I was worried that the second one would not live up to the first one, but I ended up loving it. I mean, Bloodmarked was one of my favorite books last year. I really, really love this series, and I can't wait for more. Okay, we're almost done. The penultimate question is books that I want to read by the end of this year. So obviously every book I've mentioned, like the anticipated releases or the new releases that I haven't gotten to yet, all of those could answer this question, but to add a few more, I would say Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I was supposed to read this a few months ago and I didn't get to it, but everyone seems to be obsessed with this book, and the second book, this is a companion romance series, the second book just came out and everyone is loving that book as well, so I just need to read it. There's a goat on the cover and it sounds like it's gonna be cute and heartfelt, and I just want to read it. This is another book that I think I will love, so I really want to get to it, hopefully before the end of the year. Another one is We Spread by Ian Reid. This was a lot of people's, one of their favorite books of last year, and so I bought it and then proceeded to not read it. But I am slowly getting into more horror books, and I think this is like psychological horror, and it just sounds like something I'm really gonna love. People say they cry, so that makes me want to read it, so I would love to read this. Then there's Alone with You in the Ether. I would also love to read The Atlas Six by Olive E. Blake, but for some reason this one kind of calls out to me a bit more. I think this is it still a fantasy? I'm not sure. I know there's romance in this book. It might be like magical realism or something. I don't know, but for some reason it just calls out to me. It's not that long. I don't know, maybe I can read it. I don't know, we'll see. We also have Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. I've been wanting to read this book for so long, and then first I was gonna reread just the what is it called? Infernal Devices, and then go into this, and then I ended up rereading Mortal Instruments, Infernal Devices, then Dark Artifices. Obviously I read them all in order for the Shadowhunters read-along, which I don't think will be continuing, I'm very sorry to say, but I still want to get to this book. But now I have it in me that I do have to read them all in order, so I do have to read Ghosts of the Shadow Market first, which I'm not happy about, but then I can read this, and I'm just very excited because I think this might be my favorite series in the Shadowhunters universe. Speaking of Shadowhunters, I met Jamie Kilbauer yesterday, so don't forget about that. Okay, so we have reached the last question, which is content creators that I have been loving this year. So, I mean, there's always so many, but a few of the main ones that, like, I'll watch every video they post no matter what it is, and I will watch it as soon as they post them. First is obviously my best friend Lisa from With Love Lisa. Her videos, I mean, obviously I love them because she's my bestie, but her videos just bring me such comfort, and like if I'm having a hard time and then I put one of her videos on and I just see her face and I'm like, oh, I love her. There's my bestie. So obviously I've been loving her videos, and she's also just like, I feel like her vlog, they've always been on point, but I feel like this year she has really popped off with her vlogs and like the concepts for her vlogs. So I'm just really proud of the direction that she's going with her channel and her creativity, and if you're not subscribed to her yet, you should go, because that's my bestie. How dare you? Another one is obviously Kayla from Books and Lala, who, like, we're basically best friends now. It's fine. I was a guest on Literally Dead Book Club, and so now we're best friends, and yeah. but her videos also bring me such comfort. Like every time she posts like an hour-long video, I'm like, settle in, boys. It's gonna be a good day. I just get so happy whenever she uploads. There's just something, I mean, the way she edits is like out of this world. No one is doing it like her, and she just has a calming presence, even though I feel like she's not a calm person, but her videos make me calm. I don't know if that makes sense, but I am always very interested to hear her opinions on books, and like she will make me want to read a book that I literally would never want to pick up. Like she reads a horror book that sounds like very like grotesque, and I'll be like, should I read that? I don't know. But yeah, so Kayla, obviously. Then someone who took a break from booktube for a while and has recently started to slowly make videos again is Zoe from Zoe Delaney, and I love her videos so much. They're just so freaking cozy. She also has recently started diamond painting, which has made me want to get back into diamond painting, and now I've gone a little crazy with it. But her videos are always just so calming, and she always talks about stuff like in her vlogs that I am going through, and I don't know how she does that, but she always says things that I need to hear. And I'm like, how are you doing this, Zoe? So I just really appreciate her videos, and I'm so happy she's making videos again, but also like I'm happy that she took care of her mental health and took a break because she needed it. I find that very inspiring. So I just really love her videos. Then we have Steph from Stephanie Bookish. We all know and love her. Her videos also make me feel very calm. Her vlogs, like I'll put them on and then I'll just feel like this sense of peace, especially if I'm having like a really bad anxiety day. I'll just watch one of Steph's videos and I'm like, maybe everything will be okay, you know? Like her presence is just so calming. She's also just like a really good friend, and she's a fellow librarian, so I feel like I can go to her with all my librarian questions, and it's just nice because I know we struggle with similar things, and to see her thriving, it makes me feel like I can thrive too. So I love Steph, I love her videos. And then finally, Sid Bookworm, the queen worm herself. She is just, again, one of my best friends, and I love her so much, and her videos also bring me a sense of peace. Again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but you could tell that I watch people that make me feel calm because my mind is chaotic enough, and Sid's videos just make me feel calm. I also like her Patreon is such a special place, the most special Patreon I could ever be a part of. It's just such a wonderful community, and it's all because of Sid and the light that she brings to booktube, and I appreciate her very, very much. So yeah, if you're not subscribed to any of these people, I mean you probably already are, but go check them out. All of them will be linked down below. I just love them all so much. I'm so tired of talking. So that's the end of my mid-year book tag. I hope this gave you guys a sense of what I've been reading this year, because I've been kind of AWOL. But let me know what your favorite and least favorite book has been so far this year. I would love to know, and hopefully it won't be a month until my next video, but who knows. Hopefully I'll see you guys soon. What is my outro? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon with another video soon. Bye!